In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely.
We're listening live to the Vito and Vito Show. Disrespectful to the executive branch.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Don't sign the damn deal, and the president won't.
Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And we're live here on the Vito and Vito Show. I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito.
And you're listening to the Vito and Vito Show live from the basement of the Empire State Building. Check us out at www.vitoandvito.com for network listings. And allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to let my co-host explain just what the hell you're listening to.
Bringing you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservative libertarians out of liberal hellhole Brooklyn, New York. We bring you the defending of the principles of free markets, freedom, liberty, and individualism. We hold no bars here, Vito.
Oh my God, you're a disaster tonight. As you can see, we got a little something for everybody here, ladies and gentlemen, on the program. And being that we're college-age adults,
just overgrown buffoons,
we're going to let ourselves have a lot of fun. Even the beginning segments where we try to introduce who the hell we are. Vito, this means we're going to make a lot of sex jokes tonight.
Oh, you bet your ass. If you're looking for political correctness, you'll definitely come to the wrong show, guys. We're going to see a few things off color, but, you know, that's just Vito and Vito.
That's right, forget about it.
Come on down to the website, www.vitoandvito.com, for the network listings, news articles, everything you need to know about Vito and Vito.
That's right, the Vito and Vito Show in Brooklyn.
It's nothing but the truth.
Vito and Vito, officially followed by Lisa Ann. That's right. Lisa Ann follows the Vito and Vito Show. Vito, tell the good people at home about that.
Our new friend,
our new co-worker, hopefully coming on in a couple of weeks. Can't wait to have that go down. I can't wait, man. I'm so happy. Lisa Ann. Conservatives love Lisa Ann.
I think a lot of people.
For those of you who don't know who she is, because you've been living under a rock, or you don't go on internet porn, Lisa Ann voted the top.
She's an actress.
She's an actress, but she was voted the top porn star by the New York Post a couple of years ago. She's recently retired, and she follows Vito and Vito because, she wants to know what's going on in the world.
She's most famous. She's known for playing Sarah Palin.
Yes, that's the one.
Why conservatives love her, because she perfectly portrayed Lisa Ann.
She really...
Sarah Palin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sarah Palin did not play Lisa Ann.
That's why a lot of people were voting for John McCain in 2008. We didn't give a damn about Sarah Palin's philosophy. We cared that Sarah Palin and Lisa Ann. That's what we wanted to see.
That's why his polls went up.
That's why. Well, that's not the only thing that went up. But listen, Vito, I gotta give it. Poor John McCain. He's been having a tough week. Donald Trump smacks him around. What do you think of that, Vito? Because we got Trump on tonight. We got a special guest calling in, Ken Hoagland, chairman of the Restore America's Voice Foundation and the RepealItNow.com campaign. Also an author, author of the Fair Tax Solution. He's going to come on, talk a little bit about Rand Paul's tax plan, talk a little bit about his foundation, his PAC, and stuff like that. We're going to get to know a little bit about this gentleman. We also have, Vito, a little story to tell you about our trip down and over to Times Square yesterday. We went to go to the anti-Iran rally. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Stop Iran rally.
Stop Iran
Over
rally.
12,000 people.
Unbelievable.
Showed up. That was great.
That is great. A lot of people out there, even liberals, famous liberals were out there. We're gonna save the surprise to let you know just who was out there. Plus,
like George Pataki.
Well, plus a very special former congressman was there, and we even got a little bit of some audio to share with you tonight here on the Vito and Vito Show. And Vito, we also going to talk about Donald Trump. He wants to run third party. He thinks he's got an opportunity.
He's threatening.
He's threatening to run third party. Listen, this guy is no conservative. I don't care if you love him, if you're going to bat for him. I'm coming out right now telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that Donald Trump is no conservative. Why? For reasons to be named later on in the program. But I'm going to give you a list of why Donald Trump should not be considered the conservative nominee. And if he does go third party, I'm telling you right now, baby, we are in a lot of trouble. This man does not have it.
He did say that. He said, quote, I think I'll win the nomination.
He thinks he'll win the nomination. That's the scariest part, when somebody like that thinks he's going to win the nomination. Because it's not like he's coming out like defending liberty and freedom. He's just talking about illegal immigrants, which is a step in the right direction, and he's a bull. We need that in the GOP. But I don't think this guy necessarily holds what he thinks he holds. I don't know, Vito. What do you think?
What does he hold?
I think he just holds a big mouth, honestly. He holds a big mouth and a lot of money. That's really it. And a horrific hairdo. I mean, come on. I mean, when you look at...
Did you hear what he said when they say, oh, you went after McCain? He's like, people go after my hair all the time, so you jump in defending me. Like, really?
That's what I want to talk about a little bit here in the beginning of the show, Vito. The Vito and Vito Show, by the way. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. Give us a follow, like, and subscribe to us. And if you take a look, Vito, at what Donald Trump and John McCain said... John McCain started. I don't care what you say. I was up all week.
He let the crazies out.
Yeah, I was defending sort of Trump before he said those remarks when he's like, he's not a war hero. And we all heard about this on the news. Donald Trump saying that he prefers people who weren't captured when referencing to John McCain's POW status over in Vietnam. I don't know. I sort of defended Trump in the beginning, prior to those comments when McCain started and fired the first shot. He's like, oh, Donald Trump's firing up the crazies. And I'm like, see, right there. The crazies are grassroots activists pissed off at the establishment for not taking immigration seriously. And now Donald Trump had leverage, and I think he threw it away, but he's not getting hurt in the polls. I mean, the guy is...
Anyone that goes after Donald Trump, he fires back.
He fires back
immediately hard.
If you've read The Art of the Deal, which honestly, his book that he keeps touting, I think this is the point is to sell books. I think that's the whole point of his campaign. But if you read if you read The Art of the Deal, he says to make a big splash, like, this is great. Normally it's free advertising, but the point is, like, get out there, make a name for yourself, make people start talking about you, start controversy. Because in a couple of weeks, they're going to be rolling in dough. People are always going to be talking about you. And before you know it, your business is going to explode. It's free advertising. It's free attention. And I think that's what he's doing. He's taking that business plan that he used so well with Trump Tower and the Trump golf courses over to his presidential campaign. And him going after John McCain and saying what he did, I got to say, Vito, this guy's got as crazy as he may sound, we're talking about him right here. And we talk about him on Rush, and we talk about him on Mark Levin and all the other talk show hosts.
Like, what's this guy going to say next?
Well, because it's fun. It's entertaining.
But it's entertaining, funny, until you realize that he might have a legitimate shot at the White House.
And he's not even
at the top of the poll.
He's not a conservative. The guy used to be a Democrat. He used to be a Reform Party member. He's like Ross Perot.
Right, he picks whatever he wants, like Bloomberg did in New York.
Exactly. He's like Mayor Bloomberg. And we all know how disastrous Mayor Mike Bloomberg is. He's just an elitist.
There's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. He even said, his mom's like, you're not like establishing your life, like you don't really do anything unless you hold public office. So he's like, you know what? $8 billion is enough. I want to run for office now.
Hey, Lindsey Graham, other people also attacking Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham called him a jackass.
And then, you know what happened to Lindsey?
Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump gave out his phone number, Vito. He gave out his phone number. I don't care what you say. Donald Trump's got balls, though. I don't care how you say it.
Because nobody could touch him.
Nobody could touch him.
What are you going to do? Not give him money?
What are they going to say?
Fire
Donald
him?
Trump used to be a Democrat, and he says it. Yeah, so what? I'm a businessman. I used to give money to everybody so they could give me favors when they get elected. And I'm like, bro, there's the problem right there. You give money out to these people and expect favors in return. That's the epitome of crony capitalism. It works for him, but it screwed everybody else up. Remember when Donald Trump also wanted to rip apart an old lady's house to build a golf course? Yeah. He wanted to build a golf course, and the lady won. She's like, no, this is my house. I'm not leaving. And it was right in the middle of the property that Donald Trump wanted, and she's like, no, I'm not leaving. This is my property. I have property rights, and I'm going to keep it. And Donald Trump threatened to sue, and he did sue her, and the court sided with the woman and said, no, she has property rights, and it doesn't matter what Donald Trump wants to do. Donald Trump was seeking to use eminent domain to sort of get what he wants, and although this sort of ends justify the means policy seems like a cool idea, not for nothing, Vito, this is an abuse of power. God knows what would happen if he becomes president. I mean, come on. Not my guy.
I think he would declare war on Mexico.
Out of all the people to declare war on. But I do give him credit for coming out and talking about Mexico and talking about illegal immigration. He should hold them accountable. He should go after them. I think it's exciting. But is it what the GOP needs right now? I think we have great conservatives in Cruz and Paul and those other guys who could do a hell of a job.
Did you see how Trump tried to avoid the controversy after McCain with the comments about McCain?
Yeah, he doesn't talk about the POW status, although he does say he did call him a prisoner a hero. He did call the POW a hero.
Right, but he said he's only a war hero because he got captured. Like that doesn't mean you really call him a war hero. It's
but he was also trying to get out of it, and it was so funny because here comes Donald Trump. Like, maneuvering his way, saying John McCain didn't do anything for the vets. He doesn't do anything for the vets. And he's got a good point. I think the whole Washington establishment doesn't do anything for vets. I think they're treated like second, third-class citizens like Trump says. But that was his way of finagling it out of it. He was trying to blame the VA and not his comments.
Like, the conversation no longer about McCain. It's about the vets. What we can do about the vets. Don't try. Come on. You don't go. I see. Don't go anywhere. It's ridiculous. Just try and boost the fight. Like, we're not talking about this anymore.
Listen, Vito, we got a special guest calling in. Ken Hoagland is the chairman of the Restore America's Voice Foundation and the Repeal It Now campaign. And the RepealItNow.org campaign, a long-time public policy advocate, author of the Fair Tax Solution. Vito, he's led national and grassroots campaigns for over 30 years. Welcome him to the show. Ken Hoagland, welcome to the Vito and Vito Show.
Hey, Vito and Vito.
How's it going, Ken?
I'm doing okay. How are you, fellas?
We're doing good here on the show.
Top of the world, Ken. You're on our program, and we want to speak to you about your book a little bit.
Yeah, top of the world to you, too.
Explain to us your book, The Fair Tax Solution.
Well, it's a replacement for the income tax, which is so badly corrupted after 100 years of adding a little here and a little there for anybody who will pay the fee to Congress, that it's impossible to understand anymore, and it's actually contradictory. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't do with absolute certainty under the tax code. But about 20% of it is wasted. That's just the money that it takes to collect the tax. And we're giving foreign producers a tax advantage when they sell in the United States. It's driving American companies offshore. We're basically taxing labor and savings, the very things that make the economy grow. And what started out 100 years ago as a modest tax on the rich is now, if you make $80,000 a year, you're now considered rich and you're paying a lot of money. It's working against our economy, so a better way to go is to tax consumption, not these 1,000 definitions of earnings. If it's a full moon, advanced depreciation, only on a leap year, that kind of thing. So the Fair Tax Solution is about a simpler, better way. Nobel Prize-winning economists have said would probably bring somewhere between $4 and $10 trillion flowing into the United States almost overnight. It would make us the number one economy in the world again without even a close second. And you would just pay your taxes at the cash register. April 15th would just become just another spring day. There would be no rush to find your receipts or worry about your return. It's just a better way to raise taxes for the government. Raises every penny that's raised now. but it's a better way to do it. And of course, though, the people who are most against it are the people in Congress, because they have to give up their power base. It's bipartisan, totally bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans love selling off pieces of the tax code. They love being wined and dined and, dinners and campaign contributions and everything else. What they really love is seeing some CEO who's got 40 years of business experience down on a bended knee to somebody who maybe was a teacher at a community college and has been elected and now serves on the Ways and Means Committee. It's a human thing. It's a lust for power, and you've got various theories about how to manipulate citizens' behavior in the economy, often contradictory, depending on who's got the power in Ways and Means and Senate Finance Committee, and they just work it. They just work it every single day. They're selling off 2 or 3 different tax breaks. And so that's what the fair tax solution is.
All right, well, when I think of fair tax and the new tax code, I think of Rand Paul, what his tax plan was. Do you like Rand's idea? Do you think this will work with the presidency?
Look, anything, I got to tell you, flat tax, fair tax, Rand Paul's tax, the Heritage Foundation's consumption tax, there's not a one of them that's not better than the income tax system we have. But that's not really saying much, because the one we have is suicidal. It's like self-mutilation, where the only people who really like it are the tax lobbyists. It's $1 billion a year business in Washington. And let me tell you how it works. If you're a young person, you go and get a job on the Ways and Means Committee for almost no money at all, and you suffer through that for 5, 6, 7 years. You become expert in some arcane little corner of the tax code, and then the K-Street lobbying firms will pick you up, and they'll pay you a $700,000 signing bonus. And if you're a member of Congress and you retire or you're defeated and you were on Ways and Means or Senate Finance, it's $1.5 million signing bonus. It is big business for the lobbyist, and it is big power and profit for the members of Congress. But that's about the only people that the income tax system helps. So,
right, you talk about big money. You see K Street and lobbyists and all this, and this is something that Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, the Washington machine, they want to stop. I mean, since we're talking about Rand Paul, real quick, who do you like for 2016? Who do you think can really help this country the best?
Geez, I'm not real sure yet. There's a lot of talent out there. I'm just not positive yet. I'm going to let it unfold a little. I will tell you that I'm pretty impressed with Marco Rubio, with one exception. A first-term senator who has no executive experience. Where have I heard that before?
Oh, yeah.
We've had 6 years of it, and I can't say that I like much what I've seen. But besides that, I like what Marco Rubio says. He seems to be smart and honest. I like Governor Walker. He seems to be smart and honest. Jeb Bush, he's certainly experienced and knows the ropes and is earning the big establishment money. I'm not sure if I'm ready for Bush versus Clinton again. I'm just not sure about that.
I don't think anybody in America really wants to see that happen.
Ted Cruz is a purist, you just don't get more pure than he is on constitutional law. Kind of damn the torpedoes. I'm going to be pure on this. And, so there's just a lot of talent out there, and I just can't say yet who my favorite is. Tell you the truth.
Well, speaking of Ted Cruz...
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Ted Cruz brings up about repealing Obamacare, and repealitnow.org, your campaign, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, sure. My big thing is this country was founded on a central idea that is consent of the governed. It is the most important of all of the virtues of our, yes, extraordinary experiment in liberty. Consent of the governed. It means that we, the citizens, get to call the shots, and that our government has to serve us. This law was not passed with that being true. You had no less than the President of the United States stand up and with all apparent sincerity lie through his teeth about what was in this law. Now, that's just wrong. 21 times, this was not a misstatement. This was a deliberate deception. If you did that in the private sector, you would be facing huge fines, lawsuits, maybe you'd be in jail. And yet that's exactly what happened with the passage of the Affordable Care Act. Since it's passed, the President has changed it on his own 33 times. He has delayed mandates. He's given 4 million waivers to mostly union members and other people that he's friendly with. There's just so many things. Now, you don't do that. The representatives of the people of the United States are in Congress. The President has his role as the executive branch administering the laws that the Congress passes, but he's just for convenience sake said, well, you know, Congress is not with me on this, so I'm going to do it on my own. Hey, we kicked the Kings out 200 and some years ago. So I am very much against it. We ran national TV ads with Mike Huckabee and others, and we raised about 2.2 million petitions, had a huge impact on the House. We gave them the day before the House's first vote to repeal Obamacare. No discernible effect whatsoever on the democratically controlled Senate. That's 2.2 million Americans signed petitions saying we at least want this legislation reopened now that we know the truth, that we can't keep our doctors or our insurance.
Right, the whole Obamacare thing was an absolute mess. We see that now happening after. But Ken, we're going to break, and listen, thank you for having us on the show. Can you give us where we can find you on social media and what we can do with your PAC?
I want you to go. I've given up the PAC. I got tired of asking people to give money. But I want your listeners, if they can, go to NoDCExemptions.com, NoDCExemption.com, because Congress has put itself above the law. They were shamed into passing an amendment saying we have to live under Obamacare like every other citizen. And then they made a side deal with the White House where they're getting 75% subsidies on gold-level coverage no matter what their income is. That is just so wrong. Go to NoDCExemption.com. Help us change it.
Thank you, Ken, so much for coming on the program.
Vito and Vito, thank you.
And there he was, Vito. Ken Hoagland, live here in the Vito and Vito Show, talking about his new book, The Fair Tax Solution. Check it out, www. What was the website? RepealItNow.org.
And NoDCExemption.com.
Loving it. Loving it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Listen up. Coming up next, Vito and I took a trip into Times Square yesterday for a massive anti-Iran rally here. What former Congressman Allen West said yesterday, that I'll have you proud to be a conservative. You're going to love the fact that you bleed red. And guess what famous blue-blooded liberal showed up to help fight this terrible deal. Plus, forget about it, moments of the week and Twitter fan when we return here to the Vito and...
Dave. Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son. Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save your friend, teacher, boss. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather. So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you. Your wife, your colleague. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Here to the Vito and Vito Show. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show. Vito, We took a trip into Times Square yesterday. Times Square, New York. You might take a wild guess. That's where we're from.
Times Square, New York?
No.
I'd say New York.
Well, we're from New York.
Times Square, Florida.
By our Southern California accents. We come out of New York, so we decided to take a train, our famous socialist train, communal ownership, into the city, checked out Times Square for the big anti-Iran rally that was going down. About 12,000 people showed up. This was a claustrophobic's worst nightmare. This is unbelievable, the amount of people out there that are against this Iran deal. And it wasn't just Republicans. It was Republicans, liberal Democrats, Jews, Arabs, you name it. They were there, and they were in full-out protest. Vito, give us a little recap.
Massive Jewish presence. But we wrote about this. This is on VitoVito.com, some pictures. They were chanting, "Where is Schumer? Where is Chuck Schumer?" Our New York senator, who Harry Reid wants to be the next Senate minority leader.
Big liberal in the Senate. Huge anti-gun, anti-American, you name it. Chucky Schumer has to be one of the most corrupt senators in the Senate. Where is Chucky Schumer? Is what people are screaming. He's at Chuck E. Cheese, Vito.
Because he opposes the deal, but they want him to rip the votes because they know how much power he has. They're not just happy with one more Democrat senator voting against this. They want all the Senate. They want every member of Congress to be against this, just like they are. Well, and they know Chuck Schumer has the power just to do that.
I know there was something in the New York Post yesterday, speaking about Tuesday's edition here, the New York Post, that basically that basically called out Chuck Schumer and said, "Where is he? Let's see some answers on the Iran deal." And they had 10 questions for Chuck to answer. And Chuck Schumer has yet to be found. He doesn't want to comment on this. He's trying to toe the line, this liberal blowhard, between what the president wants and what's good for the country. And I'm telling you right now, the fact that those two are separate categories is catastrophic. It's evidence of really the sickness that we have in this country. We have a president that is willing to go out, $50 billion signing bonus, like we're signing Michael Jordan here to play for the Iranian nukes. I mean, this is what we're doing here. $50 million, a signing bonus to Iran. That's a stipulation in this deal. Another deal, Iran, we would have to notify them when we want to go in.
Sounds like Iraq a little bit.
Yeah. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's one-sided. And this is the same country that's running around screaming death to America. My brother Vito, they're being celebrated in the streets. The leaders, the Ayatollahs, the tsunamis, whatever the hell they call these freaks in black robes. Whatever you want to call them. These Muslim extremists, they're being celebrated in the streets. They're being told this is the greatest negotiators of our time in Iran. Hey, you need Donald Trump in there in the boardroom. This is something that I think you need.
Iran just got one of the best deals.
They got a great deal. They got a great deal, and nobody on our side is fighting it actively in the Obama administration. What do the United
States get out of this? What do we get?
We get reassurance.
Reassurance of what?
I don't know.
That they will get a nuke?
I don't know.
There's nothing good from this.
Listen,
they said,
go ahead.
What people are saying that why shouldn't they get a nuke? This play fair. All these BS excuses that make no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And the fact is, when you take a look at what Iran gets, the fact that they also get, they have to be told beforehand that we're going to come in and inspect. The fact that the UN arms embargo goes out the window. The fact that the sanctions are removed. The fact they get $50 billion that's going to flow right into Hamas and Hezbollah and all the other terrorist organizations out there. It's some scary stuff.
This is going to help the economy.
It is. It's going to help the economy, Vito. It's going to help the economy big time. Matter of fact, there was a very special former congressman there. A very special
Lieutenant Colonel
Congressman, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West was there. That's right, Vito. Let's go ahead and play the clip right here.
What does it say about us when we sit down and we sign an agreement with a country like Iran so that they can become an economic power, so that in 5 to 8 years, when the UN arms embargo is taken away, they can become a military power. And then in 10 to 15 years, they will become a nuclear power. But yet we stand up and say we're going to cut our United States Army by 40,000. We are the smallest Marine Corps since World War I, the smallest Navy since 1917, the smallest and the oldest Air Force since we created the modern Air Force. What message does President Obama send to these people over in Iran? It's not the message that was sent to Britain 239 years ago at Lexington Green, when we fired the shot that was heard around the world.
right there, Vito. Allen West. This is going to give Iran weapons. Mm-hmm. It's going to make them, like you said before, an economic power. It's going to make them a military power. It's going to make them nuclear power. And you know what happens to our military, Vito? It gets gutted. It gets gutted year after year by a Democratic administration that doesn't give a damn. We got one of the lowest Marine Corps in terms of supply and in terms of troops. It has been gutted. It has been shrunken down to historic levels, to pre-World War II levels. We're talking about a dramatic shift in our military to fund Obamacare and everything else that's unconstitutional. But Iran gets nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. It's insane. And they become, like you said before, an economic power with all that money that's going to be flowing to them.
And he said it perfectly. The United States does not surrender. This is surrendering. This is allowing Iran to get one up over us. We have lower military since before World War I, mm-hmm. before the Air Force was even created. Mm-hmm. This is how small everything has gotten. And Iran, the economy is going to be helping, right? They're going to fund terrorism. And even this morning, they're talking about in the Senate that John Kerry changed the wording from Iran shall not continue to look for a nuke to they highly suggest they don't do it. The wording is what counts. The wording in this deal. Why? They're asking John Kerry. They will not answer these questions. Obama and these leaders will not answer these questions. Mm-hmm. Why is it highly suggested that they don't? Why not? They can't. They should not.
It's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
It is not fair, ladies and gentlemen, when you see former Congressman Allen West up there fighting for something that the president should be fighting for, stating the fact that we're gutting our military and we're increasing Iran's leverage. We're giving Iran what they want. Listen, let's play another clip here. I want you to hear what Allen West had to say about President Obama and this comparison to Hitler. Wait till you hear this.
What message do we send when we create this false narrative about either we sign this piece of paper that just the same meant nothing to Adolf Hitler, it means nothing to the Ayatollahs, or the only other alternative is to go to war. Well, let me tell you something. The United States of America is about victors. The United States of America is about champions. The United States of America does not surrender to a bunch of black-robed, crazed clerics that want to see us destroyed.
Wow. Wow. I mean, Vito, look, when you see something like that, when you see something with an administration being compared to Adolf Hitler in terms of just like being appeasing the evil in the world, it's amazing. The fact is that we don't really stand with the free and individualistic countries that are supposed to be out there. And, you know, when I say individualistic, I mean those that recognize individual rights a little bit.
Like Israel?
Israel. I'm talking about like Europe too. Like Europe is very much socialistic.
Western Europe.
Yeah, but you know they do believe that individuals sort of have rights in a way.
Better than Iran.
Yeah, much better than Iran,
you know,
where they actively seek to
stone women and hang gays. Yeah. They pay for your sex change.
That's right.
They pay for that because they'd rather that than kill you for being gay. Does that make sense?
That doesn't make sense at all.
But we're giving them all the money and allowing them to get a nuclear weapon. Now, I have a question, Vito.
All right, I hate it when you
think about this.
All right, I'm thinking.
Think about this. Now, we get to go in and check if they have nuclear weapons, right?
Okay, yes, we do.
Now, let's say we go in and they have them. What do we do?
I don't know. We're dealing with an administration right now that gave away 5 terrorists for 1 traitor. We're dealing with an administration that wants to lead from behind and let everybody else deal with the problems in the world. We're dealing with an administration that doesn't really understand the complexities of foreign policy. We're dealing with an administration that would rather score political points than keep America safe. You see, Vito, we got a problem here. We got a problem when we see Lieutenant Colonel Allen West coming out and fighting for things that President Obama doesn't want to fight for.
Here's the thing. Obama and his administration, John K., they know about foreign policy.
Do they?
They know what they're doing. That's the scary part.
What do you mean they know what they're doing?
They want this deal with Iran.
Why?
Because this is going to be the legacy Obama leaves.
Again.
Look who opened up trade with Cuba. Look at all these great relations we made with Iran. They used to be our enemies. Now we're all great friends, skipping in the park and holding hands. Okay? But guess what? Just like the Confederate flag that doesn't magically stop racism, death to America is still being chanted in Iran. They still hate us. They still wake up and pray to their God that all Americans die.
That's right. And the worst part is we're legitimizing this
and we're helping them.
This country.
We're helping them.
We are legitimizing this country in Iran, Vito. What we're doing is we're basically saying, yo, guess what? You're considered valuable on the world stage. You're considered legitimate. We're going to give you standing like we give, the United States or England or Italy or something like that. We're going to give you standing in the world stage to be considered a legitimate superpower. And we're giving it to a tyrannical Islamo-Nazi regime. And we have nobody fighting for our side.
And that's a joke. Just like the United Nations, who already passed and getting ready to finish the deal before the Congress of the United States even gets a say in it. Okay? Because we follow the Constitution, not the UN says. The UN, who has the audacity to say Israel is ranked last in women's rights, but is making a deal with a country that stones women.
This is also the same body, I'm talking about the United Nations here, that has Syria on, like, their torture panels. It has, like, in terms of, like, chemical weapons and stuff like that, and, and who's to investigate the use of chemical weapons in the world, Syria, I think, chairs that committee. So we're talking about a body that basically legitimizes terrorism, legitimizes everything for the sake of legitimizing and world peace, when in reality, within these countries, you see nothing but destruction and a harboration of terrorists. And it blows my mind. It blows. It's crazy.
And don't forget about the hostages Iran has.
Oh, absolutely. That was about to be my third thing.
Okay. You ever see House of Cards?
That's the show with Kevin
Spacey. Yes.
Yeah, he played Bobby Darin once in Beyond the Sea.
Yes, I like.
And he looks like Bobby Darin.
All right, we're going to go back to House of Cards.
I don't know. Bobby Darin once had a mustache, ladies and gentlemen, and I got to say, Kevin Spacey with a mustache looks like a pedophile.
Like Tom Selleck.
I like Tom Selleck, Vito. Be careful. Yeah, how old are you talking about Tom Selleck?
Anyway.
Bobby Darin.
House of Cards.
Right.
There's this scene. A lot of people watch this show. There's a scene where the president, Spacey, was making a deal with Russia. He says, I will not make a deal unless you release our one hostage.
Okay. This is the United States making the deal with the Russians.
With the Russians. And he said, well, I'll not make a deal unless you release one of our hostages.
All right.
He's a terrible president, Kevin Spacey, if you watch the show. Very Democrat. He's terrible. The point is, Obama did nothing. Okay. He kept the hostages. He's doing crap. Okay, that reminded me of the House of Cards episode. That even Kevin Spacey, as a terrible leader, is not negotiating with Russians over one hostage.
Well, is it a symbol that Hollywood is sort of subliminally showing our president? Maybe we should bone up a little bit and be a little masculine? I think maybe that's what it is. Because I think it is our Hollywood culture where liberals are sort of given the apex to do whatever they want. I sort of see it like this. I sort of see it that the Hollywood culture is sort of dissatisfied with President Barack Obama, so they put out these little messages in their little films, and it's sort of like a subtext that sort of says, hey, Mr. President, maybe you should wake up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's my conspiracy theory of the week. I don't know, Vito. Vito's conspiracy theory of the week that the left is using Hollywood to get across a more pro-American message. You think that's happening?
Pro-American?
Yeah.
When Obama apologizes for the United States.
I don't know. I'll give you this much, Vito. It's definitely unfair. It's not right. And it really is un-American when you're not seeking to protect this country. The president thinks you're doing a great job, but not for nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's against his oath.
It's well,
I will go that far.
I think so, maybe too.
Impeach him. That chance started yesterday at the rally. Impeach Obama.
And I don't really blame them. I mean, you take a look at the president, and he's not holding up to scrutiny.
No, because you're putting America and Israel in harm's way.
Speaking of Israel, Vito, famous Jewish liberal Democrat scholar Alan Dershowitz, a Harvard law professor. Remember, this is the same famous Alan Dershowitz, liberal. I mean, this guy is as liberal as you can get. Sort of like hates the Constitution, doesn't hate the Constitution, but he's a very liberal interpretation of the Constitution. Well, this is the same Harvard professor that sort of gave Ted Cruz props when he really did. He said Ted Cruz is a bright student. He recognized Ted Cruz's brilliance while he was a student at Harvard. Anyway, Alan Dershowitz, huge liberal, but somehow stands with Israel. So I don't know how those two mix, but he does. The senior Democrat said, quote, "This is a god-awful deal. This must be rejected. Congress must do its job and stand up for the American people. Stand up for our safety and say no to this Iranian deal. It's bad for Democrats. It's bad for liberals. I'm here opposing this deal as a liberal Democrat." He declared this. He declared this yesterday, ladies and gentlemen.